Now imagine this, Dave Flemming joining us now on the River Islands guest line, NBC Sports Bay Area Giants broadcaster, doing a hell of a job this season, was on the call last night alongside Hunter Penson, is our 95.7 The Game Giants insider. Dave, good morning. Spadoni and Shasky with you here. And last night, listen, it was a loss ultimately, but I feel like that could be the blueprint for how Giants fans could digest this final stretch of the regular season if it includes moments like we saw yesterday with Eldridge, with Gilbert, with McRae, Basabe. I mean, that was pretty fun.
It was really fun. The end wasn't fun, but the effort was fun. And watching guys learn at this level, sometimes it's not always like a smooth path. It can be tough for those guys. And in watching players work through mistakes, like it's not that easy, but it also is very rewarding when you see guys who are able to learn stuff at this level. So I think it's a good way to put it. The blueprint's not a bad idea. I don't know why here at 10 in the morning they are cranking the music up to 1 billion here in this ballpark. But anyway, hopefully you can still hear me. But I'm happy for those guys to get an opportunity. Let's see who takes advantage of it.
So last night in the 9th inning, you have the great AB by Gilbert goes the other way. Then you have an incredible at-bat by McRae. And then there's here comes Bryce Eldridge. He's dealing with this thumb wrist thing, and he's gonna situationally pitch it here, and I'm all for it. I'm leaning forward on the couch. I'm like, here we go, LJ. I'm telling my kid, you got to watch this. Pass ball, both runners move up, and he drills that ball in between first and second for a base hit to score both runs. I thought that was a huge moment for him. He's been up and down, a lot of strikeouts the last month, but just in general, another clutch at bat. And I felt like he really needed that moment last night. And I was so encouraged. And I know the ending wasn't great, but Dave, sign me up for more of that the rest of the year.
100%. And I know the three of us have talked a lot about Bryce this year, and rightfully so. He's just a massively important player for this franchise. He's going to be a huge part of their future. So every moment like that for him is really important. And it was a great at bat. And I agree with you. He needed it. Bryce is an amazing young man. Like, he does not, he's not happy with the results, but he doesn't lose his confidence in his ability. So he's grinding it out every day. And look, this thumb thing has been lingering for a little while now, and the Giants don't want to talk about it. He doesn't want to talk about it, but he has been a little bit beat up here for a while. And it happens you're 21 years old, man. First of all, the physicality, the level of physicality when you're playing here in the big leagues is different. It is. And so for him to experience this grind of a full big league season for the first time, push your body through it, all the stuff that he's had to deal with. I mean, it's for Bryce to be doing as well as he is really impressive, but you do want to see the results, and you want him to get some more positive results. And so last night was huge for him. I don't know that much about this guy. Giants fans, I'm sure even like hardcore baseball fans, don't know much about the guy Latz, who's their closer. He's having a great year. Like, he's been almost as good as anybody other than Mason Miller late in the game in the big league. So all three of those young guys that you were talking about against a guy who's been almost unhittable, really impressive.
I mean, and then Basabe, I hope I'm pronouncing that appropriately.
Yeah. This
guy, he's playing second. He played a little third. He went back to second. He's got 3 home runs in like 18 or so at-bats. I mean, he's been awesome. And as he's running around the bases after tying the game up, I think it was the 7th inning, he's all fired up. And I'm like, look, this is what this, and I know, I would rather the team be in the playoff hunt. I get it. But like, seeing this guy fight for an opportunity, I don't know, man. I found it to be like, inspirational is a little too strong, but you get where I'm going with this, where it just felt like guys are fighting for auditions right now and opportunities that are out there. Who knows what's going to happen with Chapman? Casey, the injury just stinks, and there's just going to be playing time. And to see a guy like Basabe take advantage of this opportunity, I think it's awesome.
Yeah, it sounds like Chapman's probably not coming back. I mean, I guess it's not totally decided yet that he's going to have the surgery, but it sounds like he is. And so that does stink. Casey Schmidt's injury really stinks. He's probably not going to play in the big leagues again this year. We'll see, but probably not. And it's creating tons of opportunity for many of these guys. And Basabe, it's easy to root for when a guy gets that chance, has almost never had that chance, gets that chance, and then does what he's doing. And we'll see if it keeps going. Like it's he would have gotten an opportunity earlier probably if this were going to be a 40 home run type big league hitter. He's not going to keep hitting home runs every day, but he is a talented player. He's only 25. He's got we talk in the draft about like baseball bloodlines and all these kids who grew up around the game. Like Basabe, Jackson Churrio's his cousin. Luis Matos is his cousin. The Basabe twins, who one of them played for the Giants a few years ago. Those are his cousins. His uncle played. His dad played. His grandfather played. Like, this guy grew up around the game. He's got real natural talent. His hands are fast. He's got some bat speed. He's got some pop. Let's watch him play, see what happens.
Talking with Dave Flemming here on the Morning Roast. And obviously, Dave, this is the first time talking to you since Major League Baseball's trade deadline, and the Giants sent 6 players away. Obviously, Malley, Killian, Eric Miller, and then the big 3, Luis Adames, Robbie Ray, and Heliot Ramos heading to the Yankees. What message, if any message at all, do you think the Giants sent at the trade deadline, sending away those 6 players, and obviously a couple of them being all-stars?
I think Buster was very articulate in his discussion after the fact of what went down the other day. And, basically what I took from Buster, the message was this, how we've played, what this big league team has looked like is not good enough. And whether that was a message for the fans or even a little bit in part for the players, this is not good enough. And so when that happens, changes are going to happen. And it was a pretty firm message. It wasn't, overly judgmental or stern, but it was a firm message from the guy in charge here of like, this isn't good enough. So when that's the case, we are going to act and actively try to make things better. And nobody was happy. Nobody was in that room like high-fiving. Yeah, we got to trade away Luis Adames. Nobody. Everybody loved that guy. He played great for the Giants this year. It was awesome to watch. We were all cheering for him last night. That his at-bats for Philly were amazing. What a debut. We're all pulling for Adames. Nobody wanted to trade away Robbie Ray. Total pro. Worked his ass off to get healthy again and get back to being the pitcher or close to the pitcher that he was for so many years. Laid it all on the line for the Giants for several years. You don't celebrate losing those guys. What you do is make the best of a bad situation. This year is a bad situation. The Giants haven't played well enough, and the Giants did really well at the trade deadline. We don't know how any of those guys are going to turn out, but the Giants got players that are highly regarded. They held the line. They stayed firm with the level of prospect that they needed to get, and I think they were really happy with the talent level they brought in.
They said goodbye to Heliot Ramos, which on one level is surprising. On another level, maybe not so much. It does kind of stink, big picture, and I get why they did it. I probably would have done the deal myself. And he's got a redundant skill set offensively to some of the other guys that we have, but he's like the one homegrown outfielder in a long time, and I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. Maybe I'm kind of conflicted in how I'm approaching this with you, but I'm kind of bummed, and I wish him well, and I don't know. I get why they made the move, though, but Heliot Ramos' time as a Giant is come and gone. I don't know. Are you as bummed as I am?
I am, and I think I don't want to sit here with you guys, and I don't want to, not even badmouth the guy, diminish his ability level. I don't want to do that. Heliot is I'm trying to say this the right way. Heliot is a limited player. He just has enough things that are tough for him to cap I don't want to put a ceiling on him because maybe he gets a lot better defensively and maybe he becomes even more selective at the plate. He's still a young man. But I think you trade away a guy like that because you sort of feel like this is who he is, which is a valuable player. But, you're not likely to see Heliot go and turn into one of the game's great superstars. And that is not a knock on him. He's really talented. He is a very good big leaguer and a kid that's so easy to root for. But you make the deal because you have the Giants have a big time roster crunch coming, big time. And it's a weird thing to have to talk about, but the Giants have so many young players right now who are going to have to be protected on the 40-man, who they want to be a part of the future of this franchise. And it is a true numbers crunch that's coming between, the draft and the trade deadline don't add to that stress. That adds to the overall number of players you have. But ways to clear some spots, give some chances to other players. You got young guys you really like. That's where this franchise is right now. And so you have to say goodbye to a guy like Heliot Ramos. That hurts. I love the kid. He is an awesome young man, and I wish him nothing but the best.
I think it was really well said. And, he did some really nice things. Yeah, I mean, he strikes out a lot, which you have a lot of guys that strike out a lot. So there's a redundant skill set there. He's not a great base runner. We have a lot of not so great base runners. I think you said that pretty well. Who's a guy, because you're referencing the 40-man, who's a guy that you think would get called up? Because you alluded last week to saying that maybe some of these guys would not want to get brought up so that they can, in the event of a strike, would still be able to practice, because it feels like the minor leagues is still going to operate while the big leagues goes on a lockout or a strike. Who would be a guy that maybe they would elevate in the coming weeks or months that we might get a look at?
Yeah, that's a good question, and you and I we'd have to pull up the rosters and really make sure. I don't want to be wrong on this stuff, but I do believe guys like, I think Bo Davidson has to be protected this year. Now Bo's a really talented guy, like top 100 prospect, big time power, going to be a righty masher. He struggled with lefties. He's a left-handed hitter, but he has destroyed right-handers in the minor leagues, and so Bo is going to get a chance in the big leagues sooner rather than later. Now, he's had kind of a slower acclimation to AAA, so the Giants are not going to rush him if he's not crushing it. But I think Bo is in that category of, at the end of the season, he's going to have to be protected, which would, to me, put him in the mix for somebody who might get a look. Jonah Cox is going to come back up here at some point. I think that's a no-brainer. We're going to see more of him, and whether that's in the outfield or maybe he gets a chance to play some second base. Jesus Rodriguez, another guy on the injured list. You've already seen him in the big leagues, but when he gets healthy, he's going to get a chance to play. The other two that you should flag in the minor leagues, who I think are in that same category, it's a kid named Scott Bandura, who's just done an excellent job, sort of rocketed from maybe off the radar to definitely a prospect, almost like Drew Kavanaugh in the last couple of years. He's doing well in AAA. And there's a AAA veteran, a guy named Turner Hill, who is, never been a big prospect, but just keeps performing, keeps hitting. He's probably not like an everyday player if you ask scouts, but that's a guy who will have to be protected or not at the end of this year. And I think he would be somebody on that list of, like, he's earned it. He's earned an opportunity maybe to show what he can do. Now, they're giving a chance to some other guys now. If those guys all just kill it from here to the end of the year, maybe there won't be room. But those are some names of guys, like, if you're box score scouting from the River Cats, those guys I think are in that category of possibles to see from now to the end of the year.
All right, so since the last time we spoke with you, there's been a lot. I mean, there's the Harrison Bader accident issue. I don't even want to bring it up because I've made myself pretty clear on that regarding, I just think what a dummy. But let's get to the Willy Adames Apple, broadcast Friday night. Ron Washington, some sort of an illusion of the broadcast saying that they heard that Willie wasn't working with him as often, and then he comes out that he's got a back injury. I won't ask you about the Ron Washington aspect, but the back injury. Is that something that could potentially shut him down, given where they're at right now? Because they need him to be right. Moving forward. He's got a lot of money and a lot of years left on this deal. And I think the last thing everyone wants, as much as we want to see him gut it out, is for him to hurt something that could potentially aggravate him long term.
I don't want to speak for Willie, but I do believe that it's still an issue for him. It was definitely an issue, around the All-Star break before, especially, those few weeks before. You could really see it. Like, he was wincing on swings. He was having a hard time getting loose. Like, it was definitely an issue. It's not to that level, but I don't think there's any doubt that right now he is not 100%. And probably nobody, you play a long big league season and it's mid-August, nobody's at 100%, but Willie has definitely been compromised. Now, he the number one thing that he takes pride in is being out there every day. And so he's really stubborn about that. If it were me, I would be tempted to kind of do what you're doing, like take the decision out of his hands. But when you are paying a guy that much and his job is to be a leader of this team, if you're the manager, if you're the general manager and he's telling you, no, I'm in, I'm playing, I'm fine. It's hard for me to go against that. Like, that's kind of his job. And so we're probably going to have to watch a guy who is not 100% for the rest of the year. And you're seeing it at the plate, but you're also seeing it on defense. Like, he's just not moving exactly the way that he normally does. And he's not complaining about it. He's not using it as an excuse, but I think it's definitely there.
Talking with Dave Flemming here, voice of the Giants, NBC Sports Bay Area, on our 95.7 The Game, Giants Insider, courtesy of the River Islands guest line. How do you think Logan Webb's feeling right now, Dave? I know I'm not asking you to share any private conversations you've had with him, but Logan's been a guy that's only tasted playoff success one time. And yet again, the Giants are going to be sellers at this deadline. I'm just curious. I mean, this is the face of the team, quite frankly, and a guy that Giants fans love. I'm just curious how he's feeling about the direction and overall status of this squad right now.
Yeah, he's cranky. He's unhappy about it. I think he'll too. If he comes on with you guys or you get a chance to talk to him, I think he'll be pretty honest about that. He's not happy, and he takes it personally, and he cares so much about the Giants that it hurts him that the Giants are having another year like this. And this is really a different year than, all these other seasons since 2021. The Giants have contended and been a team that has felt like all the way through, at least this time of the year where they were in the mix. And this year, that's been the big difference this year. And so probably more than ever, he's disappointed with what's going on. And, it's not a player's job to do what the three of us can do, which is kind of take a step back and say, look, the infrastructure in the minor leagues, the talent level's really getting better. Lots of good things are happening below the surface. Like all these things where we can point to the health of the franchise beyond what we're watching day to day in the big leagues. That's not his job, and he's not doing that. And so it's hard for him to find the silver lining in what's going on. And I'm glad that he takes it personally. And, I think you saw some real leadership 2 nights ago because nobody was more hurt to say goodbye to those players than he was. And it was his night to pitch. And it would have been really easy for him to be distracted and not totally focused. And he went out there and pitched one of his best games of the year. That's leadership. That's what you want to see from him.
Yeah, and you're talking about the emotion. I mean, Tony Vitello was ready to cry at the podium. It felt like when he was discussing Luis Ariz, and Luis was awesome last night. I wish him nothing but the best. But Tony, in a weird way, look, I'm not giving out Capri Suns and orange slices for losing. This is the bigs. I understand there are the big consequences and whatnot, but one of the silver linings might be that he can find his voice and his footing in terms of managing this clubhouse and this team. I felt like the atmosphere from last night, the energy, the heart, the soul from the team. Boy, I mean, if this team can kind of capture that and bottle it up for the next 2 months, wouldn't that be something that would be a silver lining to the end of this Tony Vitello season as a whole?
100%. And Tony, Tony has talked about it himself. He's been very honest about, hey, I'm learning on the job here. I'm learning how to do this job and how this level is different than the level I was at. And so, I think there has to be some grace and understanding with him about this. This is a really, really hard thing to do. And so I feel like with him, it's almost like from the player's perspective, every day is a chance to learn and see something different and feel game situations different. And you're right about that, about not just from the manager's perspective, from everybody's perspective. If there's focus and intensity and purpose, even when the standings say you're out of it, that is a really good reflection on the manager, head coach, no matter what sport you're talking about. And we've seen that from the Giants the last few days, and that's what everybody wants to see from here to the end of the year.
Dave, can you give us any insight on the newest Marcelo Mayer joining the San Francisco Giants, formerly top 5 pick of the Boston Red Sox? And for those that don't know, your brother Will calls games out there for the Boston Radio Network. Any insight on the new guy here in San Francisco? Former top 5 pick, was highly thought of. Why did they get rid of him for a lefty reliever in Eric Miller?
Yeah, they did it because they're going for it big time now, because they have a team that's gone, 28-5 the last month and a half, like an amazing, almost like all-time great run. And so they're doing what, their team president decided. This team has shown me we have to go for it. So that's why they made the trade. They didn't make the trade because they don't believe that this guy has any ability left. They made the trade because they're doing everything they can to win now and win this year. And they think they can win a world championship this year. And so they're in total go for it mode. I don't know the kid. My brother obviously knows him really well. And I asked Will about Marcelo, and Will is a real believer in his ability level and really thinks that it's been unfair the way that Marcelo is a true California kid. He's got that California sort of like cool body language, and he grew up here. He grew up in Southern California, and sometimes that doesn't play as well in a place like Boston. And I think he got kind of unfairly stamped as a guy. Hey, man, this guy doesn't care. He doesn't play hard, and that's not true. He does care. He wants to be good. Not every player shows that in the exact same way, and so I think it's going to be a good, fresh start for him. This was a guy that some people, even 2 years ago, thought was the number one prospect in the minor leagues. He's got like true high-end ability level. He's got to get stronger. He's got to get more durable. Part of being more durable is working hard in the weight room, getting the body to where he can withstand the beating of pro ball. And right now that he has not been able to do that. So that's a big off-season project for him. In the meantime, hopefully he can get healthy now and we can see him a little bit.
All right, so Buster addressed everyone yesterday, or I guess 2 days ago. He looked melancholy. I mean, he was down. He clearly doesn't like to lose. The fans are losing their minds. That's what we do. We go ballistic. What's your sense from Buster Posey? I mean, is he – I mean, obviously he's pissed right now, and I get it. But, what do you think he is going through his mind as they approach the end of this year and looking into the offseason and just put the strike, hold out, lockout to the side?
Yeah, which is going to be hard to do, by the way. That is going to be hard, and it's going to be a challenge for the Giants to navigate through, assuming the lockout, I guess, doesn't happen. If it does happen till December 1st, something like that. So you have a couple months after the end of the year to put a plan in place for your guys and get the fall workouts going with your young guys. A huge part of the focus for the Giants is going to be those younger players and all the new draft picks and the young guys who have climbed the ladder this year and the guys they just picked up in trade. So that's going to be one focus for Buster and for everybody. But he is going to be assessing everything, and that means everything. He might be assessing the broadcasters. He's going to be looking at everything, and he is right to be unhappy. And I don't blame Buster one bit for going for it. Buster really felt like, hey, we can contend. The way that they've played the last few years, they've been in the mix and have fallen short. And so he pushed to go for it, and it obviously didn't work. And so I think Buster is not too prideful to admit that and say, we're going to have to reevaluate the way we're doing this. And so, that could mean some significant changes coming, personnel or otherwise. But Buster is not afraid to be decisive. And so I can't tell you specifically what he's going to do, but we're not going to see him just sit back and do nothing.